Good evening, everyone. My name is Mighty Stream. I'm here with the Hood Recovery Services brought to you by Hope Through Navigation. Hood stands for Hope Offered on Demand, and I'm excited to be with you this evening. It's just about midnight, not quite, but I want to make sure that I got the Just for Today meditation done for you tonight because tomorrow is going to be an extremely busy day. If you're from Kalamazoo County, you know that Hope Through Navigation is throwing their 5th annual Youth Connect event, and we will be at the Douglas Community Association starting tomorrow from 3 to 6:30. So bring your children on down and have a good time. So I wanted to get into this just for today. So let me go ahead and open up the screen and let's take a look at it. Okay, so for March 30th, hopefully when you wake up, this will already be posted and you can enjoy it during your early morning meditation and prayer time. It is entitled God-centeredness. Oh, I love it. March has really been a beautiful month of meditations. And I just love that this almost the last one is focusing on God-centeredness for March 30th. Gradually, as we become more God-centered than self-centered, our despair turns to hope. And that's from the basic text, page 95. What a glorious thing to have hope. Before coming to Narcotics Anonymous, many of us lived lives of utter hopelessness. We believed we were destined to die from our disease. Many members speak of being on a pink cloud their first months in the program. We've stopped using, made some friends, and life looks promising. Things are going great. Then reality sets in. Life is still life. We still lose jobs. Our partners still leave us. Friends still die. We still get sick. Abstinence is no guarantee that life will always go our way. When the reality of life on its own terms sets in, we turn to our higher power and remember that life happens the way life happens. But no matter what occurs in our recovery, we need not despair, for there is always hope. That hope lies in our relationship with our higher power. This relationship, as expressed by the thought in our text, develops over time. Gradually, we become more God-centered. As we rely more and more on the strength of our higher power, life's struggles don't have to drag us into the sea of despair. As we focus more on God, we focus less on ourselves. Just for today, I will rely on my higher power. I will accept that regardless of what happens, my higher power will provide me with the resources to live with it. Wow, 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 wow. That is a powerful, and I do mean powerful, just for today meditation. I love that. I wish I had written it myself. That is just beautifully written. And I love the essence of it. And I'll tell you why. It starts out with what a glorious thing to have hope. And it compares the difference between when we were using, before we came to the program of Narcotics Anonymous, when we were using, we had a life full of utter hopelessness. And because we lacked hope, we tended to use more and do things that were kind of leaned into hopelessness, correct? It seemed like we were in a downward spiral. And even though we might be able to clean up for a little bit, maybe we had something we had to do, go to one of our children's graduation or something of that nature, just something we had to be present for. We could clean up for a moment, we could stop for a moment, but we could not stay stopped. We were controlled by the disease of addiction, and our lives was the essence of hopelessness and despair. But I'm telling you, when it says what a glorious thing to have hope, I get excited because that means that this is a change from what was to what actually is. And what I want to say to that is if your current life is not full of hope, or you find yourself lacking hope, there's probably something that you can do different, right? Something you can do different that can possibly turn things around for you. And one of the things that I notice about people that have a perpetual essence of hopelessness, a perpetual spirit of hopelessness, not just because something took place, like they lost a friend. It says here, we still lose jobs, our partners still leave us, friends still die, we still get sick. Abstinence is no guarantee that life will always go our way. I'm not talking about one of those life on life's own terms events. I'm not talking about the death of a loved one. I'm not talking about a divorce. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about instead of having a pink cloud, there's a dark cloud that seems to linger over your life. Even though you have come into the program, even though you have gotten clean, even though you have written some steps and are pursuing spirituality, if there is a perpetual sense or spirit of hopelessness, that might mean that you need to you need to do something different. You might need to seek some outside help outside of the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous. If you're finding that you're leaning into your higher power and you are doing all of the things that are suggested, and you can look at your own life and determine that you are taking the suggestions, you're in touch with a sponsor, and you are finding that you are continually wrestling with this dark cloud of hopelessness. There may be some mild clinical depression or something going on, and you might need to seek just the help of a therapist or a counselor, some outside help, and talk to someone about that. Gee whiz, I'm doing all of the things that I need to do. I'm making meetings, I'm writing my steps, I'm in touch with other people in the fellowship, I have a life of prayer, and I still seem to wake up on a day-to-day basis with this sense of hopelessness and the promise of freedom that we have in the fellowship as a result of these steps and spiritual principles seem to be escaping you. I would encourage you to seek some outside help. Because even though we have many professionals in the fellowship, they don't come into the program to show their expertise, right? They're not there to be your counselor or your therapist. And so I would just like to encourage you today, if that's you, there's something maybe you can do different. And it's just opening up your yellow pages or Googling or something of that nature and finding someone that you can go talk to and find out if it's something that you should be concerned about. Because technically, when you come into the program and you put down the drug, there's going to be that season of detoxing those things. not just the drug, right? Detoxing from the drug, but detoxing people, places, and things. There will be a season of that. I think that's quite normal. But if you're doing the work and you're finding that you're still struggling, that might be some underlying issue, right? It could be something as simple as possible. Let me lead from the screen. It could be something as simple as needing to reboot your metabolism. It could be something as simple as getting up and instead of just, not, I want to say just, but instead of praying and doing your meditation, you might need to kick it into gear. You might need to start exercising and getting that metabolism up a little bit and releasing some of those natural endorphins into your system, right? There might be some kind of chemical imbalance that you might be able to affect in a sense by exercising, right? And so I don't want you to be discouraged today. I want you to take hope today. I want you to walk away from this meditation understanding that when we become more God-centered, let's look at it. As we become more God-centered than self-centered, our despair turns to hope. We're not talking about, and it really is emphasizing here the word gradual. It's not talking gradually. It's not talking about something that happens overnight. We're talking about something that as you put it into practice, you become more God-centered. Like the reading from the 29th said that our true will, God's will becomes our true will, right? And so it takes practice. And we can have emotional relapses. You know that? We can have emotional relapses if we don't stay vigilant about how we interact with people and understanding our boundaries. We could become emotionally unclean. That's a big term, most emotionally unclean. Emotionally clean versus emotionally unclean. Because we learn what? That our disease of addiction manifests itself in our emotions, right? Spiritually, mentally, and physically. And our emotions come into play in there. And so if we are not guarding ourselves, and we're allowing ourselves to interact with situations, people, things that change our mood, right? Because what are we doing? We're abstaining from mind and mood altering chemicals. However, what I want to say about this is that if we are not being vigilant about our recovery and protecting it, there's the possibility that we might become emotionally charged in a negative sense. And if our emotions get away from us, we can still have what I would call like a spiritual hangover. We can have a spiritual hangover just from not managing our emotions, right? And so we want to be vigilant about that. We want to protect our newfound freedom. We want to protect our spirituality. We want to protect our God-centeredness. And I am in no way suggesting that we become holier than thou and that we are so spiritual that we are no earthly good to anyone. I am not suggesting that in any kind of way. I am suggesting that we should know ourselves, and to our own selves, to thy own self be true. We need to know who we are, that we are individuals that deal with the disease, the diseasiness of addiction, meaning that we have obsession and compulsion as a part of our core selves. And we can obsess and become compulsive on just about anything. And we're not talking about drugs at this stage, because if we put them down, then that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about our behaviors, and we want to become more cognitive, right? More aware. That's what that means, cognitive. We want to become more aware of our thinking processes. We need to know what our triggers are, right? We need to know that there's certain parts of us that, like muscle memory, right? Certain parts of us remember where we've been and what we've done. And so we need to know our triggers, and we need to be cognitive of what they are, aware. And so we don't put ourselves in positions of compromise today. We don't put ourselves in positions of allowing our emotions to run riot on us. We don't do that today. I mean, everyone is on the internet talking about Will and Chris Rock and Jada, and everyone is having this conversation about, who was right and who was wrong. I don't have the energy to be emotionally attached to that. I have an opinion, but this is not the setting for it, right? I have an opinion, trust and believe. I have an opinion, but I cannot afford to be emotionally attached to the ongoings of other people. I just cannot. I cannot. Because when I get enmeshed with other people, things get away from me. I find myself going the extra mile, the extra 10 miles. I find myself carrying their baggage and my baggage. No, I cannot do that today. Right? It's all about self-care and knowing what your higher power has given you to do and what he has not given you to do. Right? And that's what we're talking about. When you gradually become more God-centered, our despair turns to hope. And I want that for you. I want that for you. It brings me no greater joy to interact with an individual and find that over a period of time of interaction and discussion and prayer and meditation and writing the steps and talking about the steps and sorting out life issues with them, that they become confident in their relationship with their higher power, and that their higher power, their God, loves them. That's what Mighty Stream is really about. Bringing hope to individuals in a time of need. Hope offered on demand. My name is Mighty Stream. I want to say to you, I'm excited about March 30th. I'm excited. I am so excited for all that it has for you and for me. Hope Through Navigation is going to have a wonderful event tomorrow at the Douglas, starting at 3:00. And there are going to be so many children and families that are going to be blessed by the hope that we are bringing to them. And the community is partnering like I've never seen before. This is a very exciting time. Hope to see you there. And I hope that you feel encouraged with this Just for Today reading, focusing on your God-centeredness. That's where your hope lies. If no one told you, let me tell you, your hope lies in your relationship with your higher power. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Talk to you tomorrow.